Do you play War Thunder and are you struggling with the economy? You can now get free Golden Eagles by downloading the app down below and completing simple tasks. If you use my referral code EPGEK, you get 10 Golden Eagles upon signing in. And if all of you accumulate enough Golden Eagles throughout that link, I will be able to host 5,000 Golden Eagle giveaways with the Golden Eagles that you guys have earned. Welcome back, and today we are going to be playing out the Yak-15p. Now this is the first game in the thing, so bear with my aim for a second. You have 123mm, you have 60 rounds, and guns have been acting kind of sussy at the moment. Making planes like this, quite painful to fly, but overall the performance is still good enough at 6.3 to warrant at least a mediocre gun. It's not terrible, it does need some trigger discipline and it needs some patience. The main issue is that you can't really go into furballs and just kind of shoot everyone out of the air. This needs to be played a little bit differently, just because you don't really have the firepower. And it's kind of like the Strike Master in that regard. However, with this thing, if you stall people out, you can just blast them out of the air with 1 or 2 hits. It's very satisfying when the guns do work, but it's also equally frustrating when it doesn't work, and that's about 50% of the time. I'm gonna show you every game I did in the thing, at least for this video. I've flown it before, of course, but everything I've done recently, I will show you right here. You're gonna see every kill, every death, at least if there will be any. So, what is the Yak-15p like? Well, it's a jet that turns like a prop, basically. It's very versatile. You just want to be careful with low speed prop fighting, but overall you can dogfight most of the props you run into, and you do this by using your attention as well as your turning speed. It turns quite well, it holds its speed quite well, just the energy generation is pretty lacking, and it does compress a little bit at higher speeds, so you do need to play around that a little bit. But as long as you don't run into P-51Hs, F2Gs, Yak-3Us, which are luckily on your team, but planes like that are very annoying to deal with, and you kind of just have to use your high speed retention to get rid of them, same way as we have been flying with the Strike Master a little bit ago. Now we have an F8F coming in, and the F8F is a lot more fightable in that regard, because it dumps its speed very quickly, so it puts us in a very good position early on. We just need to make sure that we don't get slapped down by the 4 aiming trees. Luckily, F8F has no working rudder, and all we really need to do is just stay out of his gun. So we roll out of the way, but now we are only going 340. He's not going very fast either, but the F8F got buffed a little bit a while ago, and now the engine doesn't overheat nearly as badly, so he can just kind of keep wepping. It's the start of the game anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference here. And I'm gonna put it into a little bit of a downward spiral, because I felt like going vertical would get me killed. He gets broken up by the other Yak-15, we instantly get on the 6, and at this point it's a matter of cleaning up. It's a bit of a 2v1, you can dogfight F8Fs, but you do want to have a little bit more entry speed to really do it properly. We dig him out of the air, we fly towards the middle of the map. I've been cutting out a lot of this game, because it's a lot of just flying around. Slap the Spitfire out of the air, that is like mowing the lawn. Fly towards the middle of the map. Fly away from the middle of the map, and as you can tell, everyone is at altitude, and that's the main weakness of this plane, because you aren't actually that fast. If props dive on you, props with high rip speeds, with like 800 kilometers an hour or higher, they are just gonna catch you, and it's not gonna be a great experience, because you won't be able to outrun them. And if they have more speed and they are on your 6, it's actually quite difficult to get people off your ass in this thing. So I try to kind of skim the battlefield, try to stay around the edges, and then work my way from outside to inward, because you want to make sure with this plane that every enemy comes from the same direction. You do not want to start dogfighting 7 people at once, especially when your enemies have an altitude advantage. Go head on with a TAR 152, it's unfortunately a H, so I think to myself, well, I have a little bit of speed, maybe I can try to force a vertical here. But he is so much slower than us that he kind of just gains position instantly. He's just going to ride my 6 here, and because his flaps and his retention are so good, even though I try to kind of do a counter-attack here, he's just so slow that I end up floating in front of him. I'm not going to be taking that fight. We are simply going to disengage, like you do with this jet whenever you are in trouble against another prop. And we're just going to fly away. He messes up his stall a little bit, gives us a little bit more room to get away from him. And I think to myself, well, this guy, I mean, he was trying to go vertical, he's using his flap. He's showing signs of brain activity, and I don't want a brain active TAR 152H. So I wanted to pressure him back to his airfield. Unfortunately, the J-21 had different ideas, and he pushes us away, and we have to disengage. Now the J-21 isn't really pressuring us anymore. He's probably also going back to the runway. So instead of chasing them back into that blob, I'm going to be engaging the 2 guys that are alone on this side of the map. I am betting on the fact that this is a TAR 152C. I haven't really been paying attention to him, so I'm not entirely sure, but once he starts getting closer, I can tell by the wing shape that is not what it is. And that's kind of unfortunate, because that's not something I want to deal with yet again. This time we merge a lot quicker, so I think to myself, well, maybe I can bait him into a fight, make it so that we do this fight at high speed, where I can actually get some position, because he can't use his flaps, but he just disengages and runs back to his team. And as you can tell, the entire team is coming in. I'm low on fuel, I am not going to be taking that fight. I am instead going to engage the Tempest over here to both get away from the people behind me, perhaps get the Tempest out of the match, and then we can go on and try to land and rearm as well as refuel. Tempest, I mean, I'm not really sure what he's trying to do here. Too slow, hit one shell right in the fuel tank, and he instantly burns up. Here we have a TAL 152H. It's the TAL 152H that showed brain activity, and I'm gonna show you right here why that is so damn annoying. First things first, we are gonna try to separate this guy from the main pack of enemies, because I don't want to dogfight a TAL 152H when there is a plethora of enemies around. This guy is also in a squad, so I do want to be careful of that. But for now, we are going to pick up some speed, try to force this fight as fast as possible without ripping our own wings off or compressing badly ourselves. Bait him into a shot, he misses it, and I'm instantly going to get a shot right here, but I miss it unfortunately. And at this point it's already done basically, so I have to disengage, but I have a feeling that I can maybe try to do something. And I can't really just fly away because we're not fast enough and he might just spray us down. And I'm not really looking forward to that. I'm going to try to merge one more time and see if I can maybe stall on top of him and be a little bit more aggressive. Now, it doesn't really end up working out. He doesn't get the shot there. A little bit sketch. I'm again going to have to disengage. Almost had him in the first turn. Unfortunately, our aim didn't allow us to. Now, the one gun is kind of annoying to use. This is also my second game in the thing. It doesn't really help. But those shots are risky, and when you take shots that are risky in this thing, if it doesn't pay off against planes like this, you're gonna have to suffer the consequences. Now yet again, we are gonna fast forward this part, because it takes fucking forever. We're gonna disengage, we're gonna use our straight line speed as well as our linear retention to start getting some separation and altitude on him. We merge again, we have a bit of altitude on this guy, and I feel like I can actually kill him right here. So I'm gonna keep it horizontal. If he goes vertical, we should be able to kind of just take him down. He goes for the shot. Now we go vertical, and this guy is already almost out of speed. And I think to myself, well, I can probably stall on top of him, but then the N1K shows up, and I don't really want to deal with it. I get a little bit too aggressive, and that ends up costing me the kill. If the N1K wasn't there, I wouldn't even have tried it. It was a bit of a 50-50. I got rushed. Shouldn't have done that, because the N1K is actually not engaging us. So it's an absolute waste of an opportunity. It would have been a pretty easy kill on the TAL 152H. Otherwise, unfortunately, I felt rushed. And that ended up getting me absolutely nothing. So we do the same thing. We disengage, get out of the clouds, because the clouds are just pissing me off. And we dive back into the TAL 152. Now this time it doesn't take nearly as long, because we already had a bit more altitude and more speed. It didn't take as long to kind of reposition ourselves. Merge yet again, going decently fast, and I'm gonna bait this guy into going after us so that I can do something. But I take an absolutely horrible approach and I have to disengage instantly. And that's the beauty of the Yak-15. You can do this all day long. Now this guy is now below us. We fly away for a little bit, we come back in, and we are now on 1 minute and 10 seconds of fuel. That's not a lot, but that also means that we are hella light. So I need to kill him right now. At this point, I'm not really worried about the win anymore. I am not gonna do this. The enemy team is kind of giving me the opportunity to dogfight this guy. So I'm not gonna screw them over by tryharding and sitting on the airfield and all that good stuff. I'm gonna go balls in for the last shot here and not really care about the rest. So I'm gonna actually throttle drop here to secure my position this time around. And because of that, the TAL 152 has a very hard time reversing me. Because as you all know, the TAL 152H has very good retention. And the good retention actually makes it very hard for him to get rid of the speed that he has. Makes it very easy for me to just ride his ass and just kind of wait for him to float in front of me. Now, he does kind of reverse us, because we are going a bit quicker. And he does have the advantage in that this kind of fight. However, I damage his wingtip, I crit him. He's not doing very well, and you can instantly tell that his turning performance isn't as strong as it was. So I can now just kind of raid fight him, because he should turn a little bit worse. He should have worse retention, and you can tell that he's kind of struggling with his plane. He's basically flying sideways at this point, as you can tell. And I mean, we hit him with some more shells, but the TAL 152H damage model is an absolute piece of shit. and he ends up dying. We are then out of fuel and we get jumped by 4 people at once. So there isn't really much we can do at that point. Then we merge with an FU-4B, and the FU-4B is a plane that I don't really want to fight super sustained, but at the early stages I should be able to get plenty of angles relatively easily. We missed the first shot, we don't really even have a shot, not sure why I even fired. Second shot, however, very easy. Now if you do stick those fights a little bit too long, the FU-4B has insane power and he will drain your balls eventually, so you do want to be careful with it. But if you try to dogfight it in the early stages, you should be able to get plenty of angles to just shoot him out of the air. Now if you don't get the angles and you do kind of mess it up, you can always disengage. You should be a hell of a lot quicker. Granted, you didn't go so slow that he will simply out-accelerate you. K4 comes in and I know there's a teammate coming in, so I'm just gonna turn in front of the K4, let him on my 6, and I don't really have to worry because I do still outturn him. And the Yak-9UT gets a very free kill. I might only have one gun, but my teammates, they have plenty of them. Yak-9UTs especially, they're a bit of a gunboat, to be honest. P-51H comes in, but I have so much altitude and speed that I can just kind of go sideways. He's gonna lose a lot of speed trying to climb after me here. I just get some separation, and once I get him slow enough, I am just gonna simply turn in. And at this point, there is absolutely nothing this guy can do. Now he is stalled out, and again, I just kind of bait him for my teammate, otherwise I would have slammed him myself. But now it gives us the opportunity to go for the FU-4B. So we go head on, we dodge it, but he's actually flying the other way. And I just kind of desynchronize my low, pull back in, and boom, right in the cockpit, except it doesn't really do anything, except for damage his left wing. Now this guy is absolutely stalled out. I'm gonna just try to turn in as sharply as possible. Manage to get another hit, and again, these guns are just super inconsistent sometimes, and they are very frustrating. He's dived on by about 20 people at once now, he gets slammed, and we go and engage the other FU. And we do the exact same thing as we did to the P-51H. We are faster, we are higher, we're just gonna let him fly up to us. However, this guy isn't nearly as far below us, so we just kind of dodge the head on by going sideways, fly underneath his guns. He doesn't even have the ability to pull back into us, and we are instantly on the 6. Now he also does the worst thing he could have done and goes vertical in front of us, just making it a little bit easier for us to shoot him down. Except, again, these guns are not very consistent, and we end up doing absolutely nothing. Now we are just floating behind him, and it's a matter of cleaning up, but it's a matter of cleaning up before my entire team comes around. In this case, ends up working quite decently. Now here we have the game with the full Uptier, and we are gonna end up getting quite a decent amount of kills. My aim is gonna be terrible, but that doesn't matter because it does showcase this plane rather decently. Now it's not flawless, but you know, that's what you get when you upload every game that you do. F84 comes in with the fight here. I'm just gonna try to bait him into the dogfight, try to float in front of him to make him stick as long as humanly possible. And the last fight here, or the last turn that I did, kind of invited him to dive away. A bit of a mistake, but we are gonna end up riding his ass quite closely, and we should be able to kill him relatively easily now. We are gonna cut him off by diving in front of him, not directly to where he is. This means that we have to fly a little bit less of a distance, and because we are not nearing our rip speed yet, I'm actually going to be able to cut him off quite effectively. Now you might see here that I'm getting very close, but this guy is going decently fast, about 650 to 700. And that's not too much of an issue. However, the one gun kind of makes it hard to aim, and even though this guy is not really reacting whatsoever, and I know why that is, because he's just not looking behind him, he's just trying to get away from me, he has no idea how close I am, I end up blowing about 1/3 of my ammo on a guy that's not really moving at all. And that's just because the gun is kind of aligned weirdly. It's much easier to use in something like a deflection shot, opposed to, well, someone flying straight away from you with the thickness of a pencil. F7F comes in, we fly underneath him, he manages to nick us with one of the 50 cals, I think. Hits our engine cowling, doesn't really do anything. Retaliate, hit 1 or 2 shells, down he goes, P-51H on R6. And now we are kind of in this stage where we are going to be dived on, doved on. I still don't know what the word is, someone let me know. By the entire enemy team. Now this is very annoying, I'm not fast enough to dodge these head-ons, but I also can't take them. Trying to dodge 4 at once basically, and I get nicked again by a singular 50 cal. And as we all know, every 50 cal turns another component of your plane black. Not really ideal. P-51H gives us a free kill, but I can't aim, so we end up getting absolutely fuck all. And now there's a lot of people around, there's a lot of planes going for us, and all of these planes have very sprayable guns, and we're not going particularly quick. F2G coming in from the left, P-51H on the right, And the boat going for us, try to dodge the first head on, we just get shredded. And at this point I am too slow to even dodge it, so I think to myself, I'm just gonna try to at least kill him, but I just miss all my shots, we get nicked again. And this game was an absolute shit show. I've gotten quite lucky with the gun damage, but I just can't aim. And we are now on 20 rounds, 21 rounds, and I mean, my plane is shredded, the performance is not really there anymore, and everything is getting shot down directly in my face. Almost rammed the TAR 152 out of the air. And at this point I think, well, I can't really use this gameplay without looking like an absolute muppet. But here we are. I promise to use every game, and when I get games like this, well, I'm unfortunately inclined to put them in anyways, otherwise it would be a bit disingenuous. F2G in front, I mean, we're just gonna try and shoot him down, miss, hit 1 round, hit 2 rounds, luckily the last round actually Epsteins him in the back of his head, and we can continue to engage the next guy. We have this TAR 152H engaging the P51H. The P51H was just riding his ass, absolutely critting him, so I'm gonna come here and put this guy out of his misery. Now he's basically stalling out. If I miss this, I need to kill myself. Luckily we hit him directly in the engine, set him on fire, and then hit him with another round to actually blow his plane apart. So now we need only 1 kill left, and we have 8 rounds left. Is that doable? Sure, it's doable. However, you need to get a bit lucky, because 23mm are about as inconsistent as Sergio Perez. But they are 8 rounds, so I can get lucky 8 times. Granted, I actually hit all my shells, and I'm not really feeling my aim at the moment. In my Q&A, people ask me about purple patches, and well, you're looking at one right here. The damage on my plane now is quite substantial. I'm not gonna be chasing that guy, it's not gonna happen. So instead, I'm gonna fly towards the middle of the map, towards the guy that is somewhat ground pounding, not really paying attention, hopefully, and perhaps we can actually take him down one way or another. Now, we do have 8 rounds, we do have a decent amount of fuel to fight him, and we are light enough to the point where we shouldn't be too heavy, and we might actually be able to dogfight him if he isn't that good of a player. And luckily for us, he actually engages someone else first, loses him some energy, loses him some position, and most importantly, he is not really paying attention to us. Now, he is coming head on, but he's not really coming at us directly, so I'm just going to fly up over him, keep an eye on that F7F as well as the other enemy that's flying on the other side of the map. And this guy just kind of pulls in front of me. He's trying to disengage. He's trying to pretend he's a jet. This is how you fight me if the planes were reversed. Now he flies perfectly straight. And I just one-tap him again in the back of his head. And now we are on 5 kills. And I think to myself, well, can I get another kill? Considering I still have 7 rounds left. And we're basically where we were about a minute ago. Except this time, I have even less fuel. I have less ammo. And, I mean, we do get a crit. Getting Sergio Perez over here. This time the gun did absolutely nothing. But he is crit, but he's now just gonna run away from us. He is much faster than us. Because, well, we just kind of spiked up into him. And this guy had a lot more energy. Now I am hoping that this guy tries to dogfight us. And then, I mean, the snow golds weren't really helping me out this time around. I'm getting absolutely dick slapped by M163s. Now I did shoot, I think, 1 or 2 rounds at a ground unit a bit earlier. And I think they're still pissed off, so I hope that they're not gonna kill me. This guy basically pulls directly in front of us. We hit him again. And I mean, at this point, we got Sergio Perez. There is no way around it. This guy is absolutely dead, and he gets slammed out of the air. And that is all I have for you today. Yes, my power works again. No, my PC didn't die. So that is absolutely terrific. You might be able to hear exactly where my recording cut off, because my sound certainly sounds a little bit different. If you are paying attention, let me know in the timestamp if you can hear it, and you'll see me all in the next one.